Find me in 2022 a 6-speed manual supercharged V8 sedan, brand new. You got some time. Can you? You can Google it. I thought so. Before you get excited for this vehicle and for me, this is technically not mine. But last year I got a chance to test drive the CT5-V Blackwing, the CT4-V Blackwing, the 6-speed and the 10-speed automatic transmission, and something happened after that. A newfound respect for the Cadillac brand. You see, I realized that the world does not revolve around AMGs and M3s. There's more out there that we can explore. There are better cars out there, in my opinion, that we need to look after. Like one example is the one that we have for today's video, which is the Cadillac CT5-V Blackwing 6-speed manual. And this thing, it's one of a kind. Cadillac generally are perceived as an old man's car. People my age are not very fond of the brand because of that stereotype. And in fact, they weren't the greatest until when these two models came out. In fact, the ATS-V and the CTS-V, they weren't widely popular. They had a horrible infotainment display, not the best ride, and an absolutely gas guzzler. So let's just say they were not up to the Germans in terms of the standards. But things have changed quite a lot. Last year, I took this around the track. This year, I wanted to find out what is like driving a supercharged V8 6-speed manual sedan day to day. That's the question I keep asking myself. Do I see myself driving this thing as my daily? And I'm sure you have your own thoughts. Let me know yours in the comment section below. But let me give you a quick tour and then we're gonna go for a test drive. Let me show you everything this offers and the things that I don't like about it. So let's start first with the exterior. I can't stop looking at this car. It's the sexiest sedan in my opinion. The stance, the wide fenders, the 305s in the back look so good, the exhaust tips, everything. Let me give you a quick tour at the back specifically. This has the carbon fiber package, which means you get the carbon fiber spoiler at the top, you got the carbon fiber diffuser at the bottom, but look how wide this thing is at the back. Like the way those tires fit perfectly with the rear end, it's just the sexiest thing in my opinion. I'm not the biggest fan of the black exterior because this kind of disappears, the lines disappear, but it does give it a very mature and conservative at the same time, kind of like a sleeper. Because the problem I find with this is that how do you distinguish the CT5-V from the CT5-V Blackwing? You're looking at this on the road and you're probably going to ask yourself, because the CT5-V does have quad exhaust tips at the back, but they are in chrome. This has it fully in black. But everything else is a little bit similar, but the things are within the details. That's where things change quite a lot. Like for example, let's talk about the tires at the back and the rims. These are my favorite rims from this package. First of all, you got 4 pistons calipers at the back, and most importantly, which I absolutely love, the little details, is that the caliper color matches the key fob. So when you pick the caliper color, it also does this to the key fob. Little detail. On top of that, the wheels have the Blackwing badge located onto the side. Absolutely love that. And then we have the handbrakes, a proper caliper. Now let's jump into the front and let me show you some other cool things and how to distinguish this from a standard CT5-V. Now we have the carbon fiber package again at the front. We got the splitter over here, beautiful design, love that. But it kind of disappears because of this black color. Now, because it is a supercharged V8, you do need a lot of air to go through this bumper, and they made sure that everything is carved for better aerodynamics and more air to get through into the engine. But if you look carefully over here, the grille says the V logo. Love that little touch. So that's another way to tell that this is the Blackwing. And then we have the carbon fiber lip under here, and then if you look carefully, the same thing under this side. This has a front camera, which of course comes with a 360 package. Now, what they have done in here to make sure they can fit this massive engine under the hood, they made sure that the car is a bit more extended and a bit longer, so that way is able to get that V8 supercharged 6.2 liter in here. Now let me pop the hood and let me give you a quick tour what it offers and how much horsepower this thing makes, because this is where the good stuff is. First of all, one click, that's all you need to do. Just pull it once and easy access to this part over here. And look at this 6.2 liter V8 supercharged. Now, this is nothing new because this engine has been used extensively in the GM lineup. They've used it in different models. But having it in this vehicle and in more horsepower than the other models that have used this, that's where things get quite interesting. Like we have this bracket in the center, the strut bar to give it better performance. This comes with the MagnaRide 4.0 for better suspension system, better for cornering, an amazing ride. We'll talk about that when we take it for a quick spin. And then we have the V badge on the actual hood, and this is carbon fiber because they're trying to get this as light as possible. Then if you look carefully, we have into the actual air box over here, we have the logo here for the V series, and this most importantly is a handcrafted, and this one was handcrafted by Crystal Strickland. If you're watching this, Crystal, thank you. One of the things that I care about in sedan is space, because the problem that you have today is that you got so many SUVs out there competing with almost the same price as a sedan. The CT5 is bigger technically than the CT4. You get more leg room, more cargo room overall. This, on the other hand, it's almost perfect in some ways. I'm 6'2", so I got space. I could do a long trip. My hair is touching a little bit the roof because this does come with a beautiful sunroof in the back and in the front, but the interior is nice, it's comfortable, it's spacious, beautiful visibility. And one thing I love with this carbon fiber package, we got the carbon fiber trim over here and the seats in the front. Now these are made for racing, so you can put your straps in here if you ever want to take this around the track, but this is a full carbon fiber shell at the back, so that way it saves weight because the vehicle is already very heavy. We got the V logo on the side on each shell, so that way you know this is the V series. And also the seats over here do have the V series logo as well. We don't get any climate unit in the back because there's only USB-C. Other than that, just the standards. But overall, I would say you can fit 4 people comfortably here without any problem. Let's get into my favorite part, the driver's cockpit. This thing, it is designed around the driver. These seats, out of every bucket style seat that I've tried out there, these got to be the best. And guess what? They have ventilated, heated, and massage seats. It's not the most up to level massage seat, but they do a fine job overall. Then we get into the driver's side. This thing, it's made for track and for day to day. They have managed to do that so well. The steering wheel, we got the V logo at the bottom. Now, the series number here is different for the 6-speed manual and different for the 10-speed. We do have the beautiful Tremac 6-speed manual transmission with no lift shift, which I absolutely love driving this thing. Then we have a full digital cluster, which shows you quite a lot. Then the infotainment display. Now this has a bigger screen than the CT4, and that's where things are getting a little bit interesting on which one do I need to buy, this or that, or which one offers the most. But overall, the design is very similar in both vehicles. It's just smaller vehicle for the CT4. We got the V button located onto the left side of the steering wheel. We got the toggle over here where you can change the traction mode from track, sport, wet, dry, and so on. It kind of feels like a Ferrari in some ways because I love that playing around with this thing over here. Then we have the infotainment display, which you can change a lot of things in there. This doesn't have the PDR option, the one that records the track experience with the front camera and the throttle, G4 0-60, and so on. But it does have a 6-speed. Let's start it up quickly. Music to my ears. Music to my ears. The cluster, let's look into the details here, what it offers, and then we'll talk about the infotainment display as well. Now, first of all, the actual steering column itself, it is power, so you can adjust that. I believe in the CT4 you don't get that option, it's manually adjustable. But anyways, let's go through the actual settings. So you can change quite a lot, and add a lot of features to this layout specific. We got the tire status, we got the transmission fluid, the oil temperature, oil pressure, and so on. And then you keep moving around, you have the trip computer as well. There's the V performance, shows 0 to 60, the best, the last. So a lot of those for track use, driver assistant package, that you can play around quite nicely in this thing. And most importantly, you do get Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Currently, I have the Apple CarPlay with wireless connectivity. And in display theme, we can change a lot of things here into sport, changes completely the entire layout. Now, if you've ever been into a Corvette C8, the new generation, is actually very similar to that. You go into Tour, which is a bit more conservative and friendly for day-to-day use, which this kind of looks familiar to other ones. I usually keep it in track mode because it just gives you a different experience when you're driving. And I love that RPM, the way it just goes like the rev mat at the top. Look at that. The entire bar all the way through. Now it does come with a heads-up display, which also shows you the shift lights as well, so when you need to shift. Other than that, basic information, you got your oil temperature, your tire pressure, and so on, and then the fuel level on one side, the temperature on the other side for the engine. If you want to change the V mode, you press the V button over here and it goes into V mode, and then you can turn it off. It does have exhaust valves so that they open up once you put it in V mode. In terms of the actual traction, we got now is inactive, and then you can change into wet, into dry, sport, race 1, which you can customize it, and race 2 as well. So there's a bunch of options, but when you change the traction, it also goes directly into sport mode. You can also change the driving modes as well. You got tour mode, you got sport mode, you got track mode, snow, ice, and so on. So in some ways, this is an okay car for Canada, even though it snows here, because it does have snow mode. Rear-wheel drive car with under 700 horsepower. Not sure about that, but this is basically what it offers. Now let's jump into the actual infotainment display, because this is where things get a bit interesting. If this is going to be your day-to-day car, you want the latest tech features, and this is no different. It offers quite a lot. Let's start first with this beautiful massive screen that we have, which it is touchscreen, and you have controls at the bottom that you can play around for the audio and for the home button as well. But what's important is what it offers besides those. We have Apple CarPlay. I have connected my phone wirelessly, no USB-C. We're in 2022, and then this comes with the AKG audio system, which in my books, out of everything that I've tried so far, it is one of the best. We have a built-in navigation system. You go around, then we have video recorder. You need an SD card for that. There is the camera icon option, because with this carbon fiber package that you have, you want to make sure you're not hitting any curbs when you're parking, so you don't break that expensive carbon fiber trim, like for example the front splitter or even the rear diffuser in that case. You have your Cadillac, the OnStar, which is very, very helpful, built-in apps as well, settings, the climate unit as well. You can control a lot of things from here. The ionizer is on in this case, but you also get massage seats with these bucket style seats, which to me it's like kind of shocking. They're not one of the best out there, but they do the job just fine. You can also adjust the bolsters, the bottom parts, the recliner, so many things you can play around. You don't expect that from these kind of bucket style seats, but they do the job just fine. So easy access, very intuitive infotainment display. They've done a great job in comparison to the outgoing model, which was an absolute nightmare in my books, was very, very slow. This is top notch. .2-liter supercharged V8 LT4, making 668 horsepower and 659 pound-feet of torque. It uses a 6-speed manual transmission in this case, but you can of course get a 10-speed. And Cadillac says that the 10-speed automatic transmission, they claim, that is 35% faster than the PDK. How true is that? Well, I did take it around the track last year, and I can't believe that. This will do 0 to 60 in about 3.5 seconds. Now, that's for the automatic. For the manual, I think is less than that or so. The good news is that the TR6060 Tremec has a no lift shift. So what does that mean? Well, you can literally go flat out, pedal to the metal, and you don't have to remove your foot from the gas, because the engine knows when you need to downshift. Like we go into second. That's it. That's literally it. And the camera moved, so I gotta fix it. The camera moved. That's a good joke. Camera moved because of that power. That's how good this thing is. I don't want to give this back in some ways. I feel like I need to figure out a way to tell Cadillac I want this for myself. Now, the good news is that this is going to be available for 2023, and I believe they're bringing a track mode, from what I saw on Instagram, for the CT4 and the CT5. The bad news is that if you live in Canada, well, the chance of getting one on time, it's almost impossible. Well, why do I say that? Because I know that for a fact. I'm not giving any spoilers, but getting either or, the CT4 or the CT5, it's going to be pretty difficult. In fact, I know people be waiting for a year and a half. GM generally is struggling quite a lot with a shortage right now. So getting one, it's going to be really tough, which is really sad, because this is supposed to be sort of like the last hurrah of the V8s, the last call, to quote the people at Stellantis, Dodge. If you can get your hands in one, do it now. Fortunately, in Canada as well, dealerships are charging, well, an arm and a leg for these. In fact, there were two in Ontario, where I currently live, in Toronto. They were going for 135. This starts at 87. The one that we have for today, it's about $112,000 Canadian, which would be about 103 US or so. Well priced. Now you're probably wondering, well, Sam, I can get out of the V8 sedans out there, 6-speed manual. Yes, the BMW M5, the F series, I remember, had that. But we're talking about new in 2022 with warranty and all that, and also supercharged. A few things that I don't like about this. First is the name. Why call it CT5-V Blackwing? It's like calling the M3 3 Series M3 Performance. Like, that doesn't make any sense. You just say M3. Whether it's a competition is a different matter. But that's it. It's just a BMW M3. In this case, they could have just called this CT5 Blackwing. There's no need to have the V in that. I understand it's the part of the V series, but the Blackwing part is where people get confused. I don't get confused because I know now. I've been around these cars long enough to understand what the difference is. But I've had people say, wait, what do you mean a CT5-V Blackwing? I thought it was just one, the supercharged one. I'm like, well, yeah, there is a middle one that is just a standard CT5-V, which is technically the V6. And the CT4-V Blackwing has the same thing too. There's also a CT4-V. That to me is confusing. The next thing is fuel efficiency. Now, that it's not really a big issue in sense that you expect that from a 6.2 liter displacement V8 supercharged. You don't expect this to be the most fuel efficient vehicle out there because it is a big engine. But the next annoying thing about that, specifically in relation to the fuel, is the fuel tank. I can barely get 370 kilometers out of this because it has such a small tank. I understand why they did that, to save weight, because the vehicle is over 4,000 pounds already at this point. And I get that, but it's just like you're constantly going to the gas station. If you do a few pulls on this thing, it goes empty pretty fast. Let's just say it that way. I'm getting about 16 liters per 100 kilometers because I always have it in V mode. I mean, why wouldn't you? The button is right there. You just press that and you're straight into V mode and you can turn it off. The traction is on the right side. So you're not really, it's not hard to get this thing going. And even if you turn off the V mode, you're still technically in sport mode in this car. Like, you don't shift, hear that. You're never out of sport mode with this car in my book. It's just always in sport mode. It doesn't matter whether you press the V. The V, of course, does a few little tricks out here. The steering, the suspension gets stiffer, the engine noise, the brake feel as well, the engine sound, it opens up the exhaust valves, yes, but it's not loud even out of the V mode. It's actually still loud in my book. It still hears those crackles coming out of the back and the pops and all that. So it just goes. I love it. The other thing that I absolutely love about this car that very few performance vehicles can do is the magnetic ride, the 4.0 magnetic ride in this car. It's superb. Beyond superb in my books. I've driven so many performance cars, and it's so hard for manufacturers to find that balance between a day-to-day car to a performance car. This does it so well, because even in V mode, it's still extremely comfortable, which means that you can have this as a daily car in many ways. You can take this on a long trip with your family. You can fit 4 people comfortably, below 6'2", I'd say, because the back is a bit tight. Headroom, mostly. Legroom is good. You get the latest tech features, the lane assist. I do believe, I'm not 100%, but I do believe that there might be a Super Cruise coming in these models. Not 100% yet, but there is a chance, which means that it makes it even greater. Now, since you watched this all the way to now, I'm going to give you a quick hint on what's going on with my car, because you probably expected this to be my car. Unfortunately, it isn't, because I can't get a hold of one. But I will be nice enough to tell you that I have placed an order for a Blackwing myself. I'm not going to tell you which one. The car was supposed to land in June, but it's been delayed. So Cadillac team is doing their best to get some sort of information what's going on. The car has been produced, but they just don't know what's happening. Either it's just missing something, or something went wrong that they can't figure out at this point. So they're trying their best to get the most information to see if the car can land, because I really want to drive it before summertime. But I won't tell you which car it is, whether it's a CT4 or CT5-V Blackwing. But it is a Blackwing. And it is a 10-speed automatic transmission, because, well, it's not up to me, to be honest. If I couldn't get the one that I wanted. Even if I wanted a 6-speed, it's almost impossible in Canada. Meanwhile, in the US, if you're watching this from the US, you can actually rent one from Turo, which is pretty pathetic, to be honest, as someone that is expecting a Blackwing. But this car it's superb. It's phenomenal. It's amazing. It's so good that I just think nobody deserves this thing. You should be taking a lottery ticket to actually buy one of these. I know you probably have money to buy one, but I think it's that good that only a few people will appreciate it. Transmission, suspension, engine, power. It might not be the fastest out there, but the price justifies that. It's not fast as an M5. Probably there's already a drag race out there, but I don't care, because it is a focused track car, yet you can still drag race it. You can get the 10 speed, which is phenomenal. I love it. I love it.